This is KGW News at noon.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brenda Braxton. We start off with the aftermath of extreme weather in the Northwest. Just take a look at this video from the Coast Guard. So this is a rescue near Forks, Washington. It's on the Olympic Peninsula. This crew, based out of Warrenton, went to help 6 adults and 4 kids after flooding forced them out of their homes. The Jayhawk helicopter was able to lift them to safety. Authorities also say flooding affected hundreds of other people in the area, but to a lesser extent. Farther north, Whatcom County near the British Columbia border is seeing its worst flooding in 31 years. There are no reports of serious injuries, but 500 people have evacuated their homes and several schools are closed today. And in Bellingham, look at the damage from this landslide. It closed the northbound lanes of I-5, but crews opened the southbound lanes this morning. Washington State Patrol said the slide injured 1 man and damaged 3 vehicles. Well, back here in Oregon, the wind really walloped the coast yesterday. This is Clatsop Spit. It saw gusts approaching 70 miles an hour. The high wind warning is over today. There are no reports of major damage, but almost 1,000 people lost power. Of course, we want to bring in meteorologist Rod Hill this afternoon. Rod, sounds like Washington got the worst of the rain.
Yeah, you know, we talked about an atmospheric river, and the one day that full flow pattern, if you will, was bullseyed into our area was last Thursday overnight into Friday. But you travel up into Washington. They had that for about 3 days, and much of Washington got about twice the amount of rain that we had here in Oregon. So these are totals for the entire month of November. Portland 4.86. Now our storm total from last Thursday evening through Saturday was 2.85. Seattle for the month of November, look how much heftier it is, over 7 inches. Hoquiam along the Washington coast, of course, nearing 11 inches just for the month. Astoria, this might surprise you, not too far behind. We did have some flood warnings for the Grays River, which is not too far from Astoria up in Washington. And then Salem, south of where all the heavier rains were, just 4.51 inches so far for this month. Everything has dropped except for a couple of rivers up in Washington that are still running around bank full. Otherwise, it's pretty quiet. Weather patterns holding out to sea until our next rainmaker comes in, and that's not until Thursday here locally, maybe noon on Thursday. Kind of partly cloudy. This is our live camera at Uquinta Bay in Newport. Nice afternoon to be out, partly cloudy skies. This is Lewis River up in Woodland, and a similar scene of the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Aloha. It is a much cooler batch of air we're now in, 44 degrees out there. PDX is at 50 along the Columbia. We'll be low 50s this afternoon. Clear skies overnight tonight. Again, nice quiet weather until the east winds pick up tomorrow and the rain returns on Thursday. Brenda?
All right, Rod, thank you. And for the very latest on the weather all over the Pacific Northwest, look for updates on air on KGW.com and on the KGW mobile app. You can also use the app to send us your weather pictures. Just look for the Near Me icon. Well, following a summer of record heat and drought, Oregon Congressman Earl Blumenauer is calling on the U.S. to do more to address climate change. Blumenauer just got back from the UN Climate Conference in Europe and has this observation about how to improve the federal response here at home.
FEMA is not authorized to deal with extreme heat. This is an area where we need to adjust what we do and how we go about it.
In the coming weeks, Blumenauer is expected to introduce legislation to support his plan. Well, this noon we have an update on a crash that killed a pedestrian on Northwest 23rd Avenue. This map shows where it happened between Everett and Westover Road. So here's what we know. The driver hit a coworker who was helping them park a work truck. The driver pinned the person between the back of the truck and a tree. Medics rushed to the crash, but the person died. The driver stayed at the scene to talk to police. Now to a scare in Salem after a student brought a gun to Stevens Middle School. That was actually one of 2 weapons staff found on students yesterday. Alma McCarty has more from the principal and from police.
On Monday morning, Salem police were called out to Stevens Middle School after staff there reported that a student had a handgun hidden inside their backpack. The student was arrested and taken to the Marion County Juvenile Detention Facility, facing menacing and possession charges for unlawfully having the gun in a school building. Amid the ongoing investigation, Stevens principal David Wood shared a message with families Monday afternoon. In it, he wrote, "Students witnessed and immediately reported to staff that there was a firearm at school and in the possession of a student. Additionally, a separate student was found in possession of a knife. At this time, the investigation is still ongoing. However, we do not believe this was related to a planned attack on the school." Wood went on to emphasize to parents that their students are priority number one and commended the students who quickly informed staff about the weapons. Finally, the principal reminded families about Safe Oregon, a program run by Oregon State Police. It's a way for people to report all kinds of threats, from bullying and harassment to suicidal thoughts to possession of a weapon, and they can stay anonymous.
All good information to know. It is important to note no one was hurt and the weapons were confiscated. The student who had the gun was detained by school staff without incident before police got there. Well, school districts are dealing with staffing shortages, but a change to the rule is helping. It allows people 18 and up to become substitute teachers. Before, you needed a college degree. The Oregon Teacher Standards and Practices Commission made the change. Now there is a temporary emergency substitute teaching license. Administrators in the Salem-Keizer district say this is opening the door for more applicants.
The opportunities are greater than they've ever been in terms of TSPC's rule changing and allowing folks to get into the classroom if they go through a process.
The emergency substitute teaching license is just for this school year, and each district can decide if they want to hire people who have it. Well, tonight, the Portland School Board will revisit a vaccine mandate for students. All meetings from now on will be virtual. During the last in-person session last month, some parents refused to wear masks. We do expect PPS staff to recommend delaying a vote on the mandate for at least 6 months. Governor Brown was in Washington, D.C. as President Biden signed his $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill into law. Here's how Oregon will benefit. The biggest chunk is $3.4 billion to upgrade roads. There's $268 million for bridges, $747 million for public transportation, $52 million would build EV charging stations, $100 million for high-speed internet across the state, and $32 million to prevent wildfires. Washington is getting infrastructure money too. For instance, Snohomish County will spend $6 million on improving 4 of its bridges, but it could take years before the work actually starts.
They're programming out several funding cycles sometimes, and we aren't able to move forward with some of these projects until that funding becomes available.
Snohomish County, by the way, has 204 bridges, so these first few projects barely make a dent in the need. 37 bridges are considered functionally obsolete, meaning their designs are no longer safe.